Hello, everyone. Today we will be talking about Jehovah's Witnesses ignore Queensland child sexual assault survivor despite National Redress Scheme. Redress Scheme. So this is fairly new. It was posted the end of January 2023. And for most of you out there, you know what's happened with the Royal Commission in Australia and how that's all escalated. So this gives us kind of an update, and we can see that countries all over the world are taking a stand against child sexual abuse. It's all coming out, and if we follow the Bible even says that these ones will reap what they have sown, and nothing that is hidden, or everything that is hidden, will be revealed. So now that it's all revealed in Australia, and this is where it's starting for a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, we are now getting the reports. So follow along with me, and we'll go over the report on Diane Lynn, and she would like to see some policy changing within Jehovah's Witnesses. She is a CSA victim. 6 decades after reporting her sexual abuse to the elders of the religious congregation her family attended, Queensland woman Diane Lynn is still waiting to be heard. 6 decades. 60 years. Miss Lynn was sexually abused for a number of years from before she was 5 years old by members of the Jehovah's Witnesses. She reported the allegations to the organization multiple times, but no action was taken. In August 2022, Miss Lynn was offered the full extent of compensation under the National Redress Scheme, NRS. So this is 2022. This is 65 years. She's 65 years old now. This is how long it took. For the 65-year-old, it was validation, and she hoped to finally be heard. It was one of the most powerful moments in my life. It's validation that someone actually listened and acted for the first time in my life, she says. However, Miss Lynn never anticipated that an initiative designed to help victims of child sex abuse would become her biggest challenge. It's really, really trying on your mental, physical, emotional health, the Sunshine Coast-based woman said. It's just as raw as the 5-year-old girl waiting for an answer and waiting for something to be done. Lack of response exasperates pain. The compensation presented to Miss Lynn includes counseling, money and direct personal response, they call DPR, from the institution responsible. So direct personal response, that's what DPR is, from the institution that's responsible. So if it's, in this case, it's the Jehovah's Witness, jw.org. If it was the Catholic Church, it would be the Catholic Church, and so on and so forth. So it says a DPR is an opportunity for victims to receive an apology from the institution responsible for their abuse. Miss Lynn has not yet received her personalized response despite contacting the Jehovah's Witnesses 3 months ago, a requirement of the compensation offer. She said the lack of response caused trauma to resurface and inflicted more pain. Every day, and this is her words, I check to see if there is a message, and every day I check to see what's going on, and sometimes twice a day before I go to bed as well. Some nights, she says, I sleep only 3 hours. I've put on weight. It's not pleasant. And here's a picture of them. Diane Lynn says her husband, Mike, is her biggest support. So there the couple is. A spokeswoman from the Department of Social Services said institutions were required by law to provide a direct personal response. So this DPR is a requirement by the law of the land. So Jehovah's Witnesses are required to do this. It goes on to say the scheme is responsive to any complaints and feedback from the survivors who are having difficulty accessing their DPS or their direct personal response, and will work with the survivor and institution, a spokesperson said. The scheme interaction with individual survivors and institutions cannot be disclosed to protect the privacy and confidentiality of applicants. The ABC contacted Jehovah's Witnesses for comment. Spokesman Tom whatever said the law prevented the institution from commenting on individual cases, so the Jehovah's Witnesses declined to talk about this. Thousands seeking justice. The National Redress Scheme has received more than 21,500 applications since 2017. That's a lot. In that time, more than 10,000 payments relating to institutions across Australia have been approved, totaling about 920 million. On the average, 87,960 per person. Brisbane-based organization No More, an independent and free legal service for survivors of child sex abuse, received 23,000 calls for help last year. And I think this is good, and this is something I think in Canada and other countries we're looking for, is the free legal service for the CSA survivors. And I think once that starts to happen in other countries, we're going to see a big change in the JW organization. It goes on to say principal lawyer Simon Brook said that the demand was bolstered by NRS. People can call and ask for advice about childhood sex abuse that has occurred and what compensation or redress options might apply to them. He said also supported survivors throughout the emotionally triggering and daunting process with social workers, counseling, and cultural advisors. So the survivors get a lot of support. A lifetime of fighting continues. Miss Lynn said waiting for her personalized response was the latest delay in the process after the Jehovah's Witness religion took 3 years. So it took Jehovah's Witnesses 3 years to join this scheme, they call it, this group. So she says it's like they're still trying to look for loopholes to get out of this. That's what it looks like. It's really important for me to have the religion accountability, finally, she says. Now, here's some, if you can see that in the back, here's some sexual assault support lines. And these are helplines I believe, for Australia. So Miss Lynn hopes to use the direct personal response to initiate changes to the institution's policies and procedures, and referring to the institution of Jehovah's Witnesses, including to abolish the two-person witness rule. There needs to be 2 or more witnesses to the same criminal act of a child abuse before the child or young person is believed, she said. And she's experienced this. She says, I want to go to New York to receive the response because it is the New York-based headquarters and only they can make the change. An Australian branch cannot. And she goes on to say, if we don't have change, what was the reason for all of this? Very good question. So that's why it's important that if we can, that we get involved somehow, if we can. And that's how we make change happen. Now, for those of you that perhaps are watching for the first time, and I say in most of my videos, is I have a petition going. And if you look in the description in the bottom of this video, it's a petition in Canada. We're looking for Canadian signatures, and we're simply asking the government to stop treating these organizations as charities, similar to what Norway has done. Now, it goes on to say the Royal Commission into Institutional Response to Child Sex Abuse recommended in 2017 that the rule to be removed, but it remains. So, Jehovah's Witness spokesperson said the rule did not prevent elders from reporting child sexual abuse to authorities. Now, that's the two-witness rule. The Bible requirement of two witnesses is related solely to a religious determination whether an ecclesiastical judicial committee can be formed to determine whether the accused should be expelled from being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, said the JW representative. Criticisms of Jehovah's Witnesses. Miss Lynn hopes the changes she's fighting for would prevent other families from experiencing the compounding impacts of child sexual abuse and the toll of paying more than $100,000 for therapy. It would be a life fulfilled, she said, and it would be what I wanted to always do, to make change to protect children and to have children in a safe environment. So there you go. This lady's dedicated her life, Lynn, to helping others so they don't have to. This is Diane Lynn and her husband, Mike. So thank you, Diane, Lynn, and Mike, for all your support and helping everyone. Really, this is helping all of us in the world as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And so we'll put also this article in the clipping below. So if you want to look at it yourself, you can. Now, I wanted just to take a few seconds. She's waiting for a DPR. She's waiting for a personal response from Jehovah's Witnesses, acknowledging what she's went through her whole life. And she hasn't gotten that yet. Now, when we look at the Bible, and when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, we were taught to handle disputes before the sun sets. And we bring Jehovah's Witnesses, the headquarters, right back to their own council. It's right here in the Bible, and handling of disputes before the sun sets. So we look at Ephesians 4:26. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. So handle it. Matthew 18, we use the same two witness rules and everything that they use towards us. If a brother sins against you and he's at fault, then he needs to he needs to address it. He needs to do something about it. And if your brother, go tell him your fault. And you see, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're told their fault. This happened with the Australian Commission. And then there was laws set, and all they have to do is apologize. And they can't apologize. So isn't that what it says in James 5:16 here? It says, therefore, confess your sins to one another, pray for one another, that you may be healed. The prayer of the righteous person has great power as it is working. And Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. So when we look at the jw.org here, they are certainly not peacemakers. They're running from accountability, from liability, but the world is holding them accountable. The victims are holding them accountable, and they can no longer run. So now the world is waiting for them to admit it and to be sorry about it and to make some changes. So that's it for today, folks. And until next time, keep living your life with love. Your day will always go great. Thanks again. Bye for now.